Welcome everyone to episode 292 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentalaresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, J.M. Dover returns to the podcast as her novel Finding Atlantis is now an Aurora finalist in the young adult category. So we got a chance to catch up, but real quick and see what's been going on since. This is a cool self-care episode. We had a really good talk. I always enjoy talking to J.M. Dover, and I'm really happy she's done as well as she has. So, J.M., once again, congratulations for being nominated. It's awesome that you got this opportunity. I hope it goes well for you. Well, guys, if you've been watching what I've been doing, I just unveiled a cover to The Cloud Diver. Now, I'm not quite ready to give a release date just yet, but it's really close. As you see, the cover is amazing. Lance Bond is an incredibly talented artist. I'm very fortunate to actually meet him, have met him, worked with him for a long time. We're old friends, and he's just a cool dude, and he does amazing work, and I can't recommend him enough. Actually, I kind of wanted to mention this before we get to the pod, actually. I realized when I put together the blogs for the last couple of days on my blog about the novel and the t-shirt, I've been very fortunate with the people I've worked with, whether it was Florence Chan, whether it was Justine Dowsett, whether it was Lance Bond, whether it was Kayla Lynn, whether it was Ellen Michelle. I've been very fortunate with the kind of people I've found, and I want to thank each and every one of them for making some of my dreams happen. All right, let's get to our conversation. We'll talk more good stuff after this, but first, words from our sponsors.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com. Claudio Murgan is the author of two novels, The Decadence of Our Souls and Water Entanglement. The Decadence of Our Souls is a cross between a spiritual book and a thriller, and in Water Entanglement, Claudio delivers a well-written, convincing snapshot of water scarcity into the future. What will you do when you realize that water has memory, water is alive, and that the time for her to awaken is now? The novels are available as an ebook or in print through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any other major bookstore. The audiobook will be available soon. For more info, look at claudiomorgan.com.
So, this is what I did this weekend. I figured out what I actually do for people in a very, very cool way. I destroy excuses and I give you permission.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I destroy right? So this weekend, I literally watched very cynical, hardened writers be completely disarmed by how genuine I was to them.
Okay.
Right? And so I saw, I'm not going to name names on the air, I saw one very hardened, tough, journalistic writer. She broke down, right? Because I disarmed her by simply saying thank you and meaning it.
Yeah.
When you're genuine with people, they don't always know how to deal with being genuine.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Right? We usually expect there's a gain, there's something up their sleeve. I'm not saying I don't get other benefits being this way, but I am being very genuine with what the way I do this forces me to be honest, forces me to be very genuine, because it does, right? I'm not as the one advantage I do have over most people is I have a certain joy I carry with me, and it allows me to kind of rebel against every kind of like little idiosyncrasy, including my own imposter sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? It gives me a freedom very few people actually have, and so I can express these things in this way. So and I can watch people who are genuinely very, very cynical have a moment of true appreciation because they're appreciated.
Yeah. I've always appreciated you.
Yes.
And I like the way you interview because you get to the center of a problem. You know, people open up, and sometimes people say things they maybe shouldn't. But it also teaches an interviewee a little bit about themselves, and a little bit about what they should know when they're presenting their brand.
Yes.
Right? Because even though we're people, and that person needs to connect with a reader, there's a brand there. There's something that draws that reader in, and then when you make the connection, then you're important to the reader. But that first step is drawing the reader in, and oh, that's interesting, I want to look at this.
Yeah.
And then as a writer and as a person, you've got to give back to that reader so that they are going to say, I like you as a person, I like you as a writer.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of what you're doing.
Because ultimately, them buying your books is them supporting you.
Right.
And that's the thing, there's a big emphasis on that, right? Because it is about, it takes audacity to write a story. It does. Because you're giving, if it's a really good story, there's a big part of yourself in that story.
Oh, definitely.
Right? If it's a good story.
Yeah.
And good stories, the author completely buys into what they're writing, even if it's not, even if it is a work of fiction, maybe especially because it's a work of fiction.
Yeah.
Right?
Change the places, change the name, but the message, the underlying message is always there.
Yeah, the underlying message that is always genuinely the writer's, unless the writer themselves don't believe it, and if they don't believe it, then you can tell when you read it. And I've learned, and so I had Tony on the, I had Tony Phillips on my podcast. I met him over the weekend. I met him, and he was being his raucous, rowdy self. He's just trying to be for shock value.
Yeah.
And I'm amused as hell about this. Was like, all right. So I looked at him. So why are you doing this? Like, I actually asked him, like, why are you going this? Why this approach? So he gives me his answer, and then I go to him, so what are you really covering up? And then he was like, oh my God, he sees right through me. Right? I've gotten a lot better at it over the years, cutting through a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. And we're all human underneath what we portray outside, right?
Absolutely. And that's the stuff that fascinates me. So I try to cut through the crap. Right? It's just like, okay, what's there? Who are you really when it's all said and done?
Yeah. I have a degree in psychology, and I've always said I use it every day.
Absolutely.
Because there's information that that helps you interact with people.
Absolutely.
And the more I write and the more things come out, I realize I need to write not necessarily to sell books, although that's a great bonus. I need to write because I have a story to tell.
Absolutely.
And I thought originally I wrote Finding Atlantis because my son's a non-reader. And I think we lost him at 12 years of age. And if I could write a story that could engage a 12-year-old boy, then I'm converting...
you have the opportunity to convert people
to being readers, to give them excitement. But that's not...
That's not the only reason why you did it.
No, and actually, my husband's dad is 75, and he read the book. He enjoyed it, but he didn't like the ending. And he was right up front. It should have had more lightning bolts and sparks and all that. So his inner 12-year-old boy connected with this book and was honest about how he felt about it. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely.
But I've started to do class presentations and to put the presentations together. Mm-hmm. And I actually wrote it on the back of Finding Atlantis. You're stronger than you think you are.
Absolutely.
Return to Atlantis, when it gets released, will be you're braver than you believe. Mm-hmm. So it's that message of teaching any reader there's a strength and there's a bravery in them, and they can do amazing things when they dig into this.
Absolutely.
So by accident, I figured out what I'm writing.
So my book is about ready to come out. I'm crazy, I'm moving, and I'm trying to launch a book at the same time because I'm freaking crazy. That's just the way I am.
But you can do a digital launch.
No. I can do digital. I want a physical launch.
Oh.
No, because here's the thing. Your medium is your message as much as the message itself.
Right.
It's why I think, and as an aside, audiobooks right now, authors don't fully get them.
No.
They don't. Because they don't understand that the audio, and I understand this a lot more because I play an audio a lot more than most. There is a language to audio just as much as there's a language to prose.
Yeah.
And they're not the same language, right? That doesn't necessarily mean you can't do a book and prose to audio, but there has to be you have to tell the story slightly differently.
And you have to find the right person and the right voice to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's a person that believes in the story and wants to get the message up.
Absolutely.
You're not just hiring somebody for their voice.
No. You're well. So I'm actually working with a studio for my cloud diver. I have connections to a studio in New York City, and so
sounds exciting.
Yeah. So I mean, this is still going to cost me a pretty penny when it's all said and done. But she's a really good friend of mine. I've interviewed her for the podcast as well. And I'm getting a guy that actually does a show right now called Dungeon Run. I've actually interviewed him for the podcast as well.
Okay.
He's hilarious, right? He also does many different voices, which is perfect.
Yeah.
For this, my story, and we were even talking about like the how the cloud itself feels like. I told them I want it for the first story. I want an 8 to 16-bit video game dungeon feel.
Oh, okay.
Because I want it to feel that way in this story. Now in the next story it'll be a little bit more mature, maybe more like a 32-bit, maybe something a little bit more of an involved track, score. But see what I'm thinking? I'm not just thinking about the actual words, I'm thinking about the feeling, the experience.
The feel of the words, yeah.
Right, the feeling, the experience. Because a story, if you want to really break a story down, a story is really a product of two things. Creating an experience of empathy that the reader can share. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So every medium we do it, whether we're an orator or whether we do or read a book, whatever the story format, there are rules to how to do that in each thing.
Yeah.
And where books fall apart is their descriptions.
Yes.
Right? And dialogue's great. Dialogue translates perfectly.
If you write it perfectly. Some people, it's still stilted.
Yeah.
So you have to, as a writer, I put myself right in the conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't use a lot of dialogue tags when I write.
Okay.
Because the voices are clear and I can get the emotion across by what they're doing, how they're saying it, and the short, impactful sentences, because that's what dialogue is. It's back and forth with impactful sentences.
And that's interesting. For me, comic book bubbles.
Yes.
Comic
exactly.
book. No, that's what I do. For me, it's a comic book bubble. Like a comic book bubble only allows for at most 120 words. At most.
Yes.
Right. And honestly, an average one is more closer to 50, which that's really tight for that. That's really tight.
Yep, it is.
And if you're not great at conversation, be great at brevity. If you're great at brevity, you're actually decent at dialogue.
See, I'm afraid of commas. So
You're afraid.
So my short sentences tend to be shorter anyway, so I don't have to put a comma in.
Okay, I gotta ask, why are you afraid of commas?
I hate them.
Why?
I use them wrong half the time. And I know the rules, it's just, I just don't apply them properly.
Rules?
And it's always been a problem. And so my solution to that problem
is not to use them.
Is to write short sentences.
Okay. Because you know.
Thank God I write YA. I can get away with it.
To a point.
To a point, yes.
Right. You get to about the 15, 16-year-old age. Okay, we need a little bit more complexity here. Right. It's okay to have a comma. Semicolons are fine. Parentheses are okay too. Once in a blue moon. Although even in adult fiction, avoid parentheses as much as
it's old school, really.
Yeah. Avoid them as much as possible. But
you can use M dashes and things like that, right? There's lots of ways to bracket a sentence.
Exactly. Right. Even M dashes. Try to avoid those as much as possible.
Well, you use them sparsely.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I use them is right before the character takes a breath, and that's what the M dash is, and then makes a good point that ties everything together. So that's a good use of M dash.
Yeah, no, it is a good use. But I like, you know what?
I can't use it in place of commas, no.
No, you can't. That would be awesome. You should do that once as an exercise. Just completely do an M dash style.
Oh, okay.
Even if it's just a poem, it's all M dashes all the time. And then just send it to your editor as a gag and watch their head implode. I am that kind of asshole, ladies and gentlemen. I really am.
Oh, I'm having enough trouble with edits right now. I just have to get my head around it.
No, I get you. I see, like I said, so my 4 rules have evolved to 8.
Okay.
You want to hear that? You want to hear 5 through 8?
Sure.
Get out of your way.
Okay.
No excuses.
Okay.
Oh, we'll get back to that one. 7, be grateful, be charitable.
Always.
Be charitable. So, hence why before we did this conversation, I said what I said to you. And number 8, stay uncomfortable.
Yeah. Once you get comfortable, you're not going anywhere. You're just
exactly.
treading water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary thing about life. No matter how long you're here, you're continually learning something.
At least you're supposed to. I do think people do get to a comfortable place sometimes, and they stay there and stay there and stay there and stay there.
And then they're just waiting for the end.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Is the way that it works. But you should be trying to learn something every day. Because that life is here to evolve you, to make you a better person at the end of all this.
Yep, and I try. I try.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And then you go, dummy, why didn't you get that the first time?
Yep.
But that's what life is. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
And you grow and you have different people in your life that are expanding your world. And sometimes you have people in your life that sort of teach you what you shouldn't do.
Absolutely.
And they're not necessarily people that are in favor of you or have a good connection with you, right?
Actually, the most interesting thing with my day job, because I know I'm approaching the end of my time there, right? I asked for a transfer, so even when I do get over the other side over there, I also know I'm not long for the job when I get over there. It's just me to be very blunt, using the job to get me to the next step, and then once I'm there, take a flying leap elsewhere.
Yeah.
But it's the people there that don't like me very much. The people there that have desired no connection with me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I've learned actually in the last little bit. I have actually, because I know I'm so close to the end, I've taken a moment and I reflected on that. It's like, not because I don't want them to like me, but it's just like, one, making peace with the fact there's someone at the day job I personally just do not care for. They did something to me that made me feel like you're going to try to treat me like crap.
Yeah, tried to make you feel insignificant.
Yeah, you try to treat me like I'm just not going to put up with it. I'm just not. I don't care who it is. It's like I'm just not putting up with it. And I don't like this person for that reason. Doesn't mean I don't help them. It's kind of funny. I don't need to like you to work with you, but it's like, so I looked at that individual, and there's another individual who just doesn't like anybody. And there's another individual, just we've never had a conversation. Just there, whatever. And I think I understand why. In that case. I did an interview on Sunday, and the person I interviewed, and we ended up having a very long talk after, because, as you say, I open things up with people.
Yeah.
I opened something up with her that neither of us anticipated hearing.
Yeah.
But she really needed someone to talk to and be there for. And I get the feeling that the person I'm not talking to at work has something very similar they're working through.
Yeah.
And if they talk to me at the wrong time, it's going to come out.
Yeah. So they're just avoiding you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's their decision.
No, and again,
and you need to respect that.
Yeah, no, right? Absolutely. It's taught me a lot about boundaries. Like some people have. I mean, there's always that part of me that's like really curious, and that is just my nature.
Right.
I can't help that.
But you can't fix everything.
No, I'm not. Right? No, exactly. No, I'm not, and I'm not supposed to.
No, exactly.
I'm not supposed to. What I'm supposed to do is the people that do come to me, whether it's Kat Flannery, which that was very.
She's an amazing. I was her guest liaison.
Yeah.
She's a very cool lady.
No, she was. She sought me out, which I actually was really surprised by. Right.
Marketing genius.
Yeah.
She's really good at what she does.
No, I know. No, me and her had a really fun back and forth. There was Kat, if you are listening to this, I'm sorry about this. You are one of my sister's friends, and you have almost feel the exact same way. There was at least one instance in that conversation I actually had you two confused. I'm sorry, but you two were so alike. You both were really cool, but you're just like so alike. Very, 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 very amazing woman, right? Should embrace her ego just a touch more than she does, just for her own protection more than anything else. But I love how approachable she is, and I love how down there she's very down to earth, all things
Yeah,
considered.
whiskey comes up quite often.
Yeah, there's nothing. You know what? There are worse things in this life. I actually told her next time we hang out, we should actually just go for a drink of it. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm in. It's like, yeah.
If there'd been time, there's a whiskey store downtown that Co-op runs.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to take her down there just to sample. Because she's not fussy about it. She likes all whiskey. Irish, Scotch, Canadian, whatever.
Like you said, they all have their slightly different flavors, but they're all fun. They all can be very fun.
See, and I'm a tequila girl, so.
And tequila is the only thing that can give me a hangover.
You have to be careful.
So no, the one that I'm careful with is Scotch. The reason I'm careful with that, because we could be sitting here, and let's say this was Scotch. It's not. It's coffee, because I'm not that good of an interviewer. I can do it that inebriated. If I drink Scotch sitting down, I don't feel it at all. It's when I stand up, it hits me.
Yeah.
So, and the other one I kind of get, I'm worried about, it's certain, not all of them, but certain is sake, because it's like soda pop. So
right. Yeah.
Once you down it, it's like, ooh, it's like soda pop. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I kind of feel kind of good. Oh, crap, I drank too much. But Scotch is the one I actually, and I respect it the most, simply because I know that if it was here and we were sitting down right now, I wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
And then I stand up and then I'm on the floor and I'm wondering, how did I get here? Yeah.
See, it's another MS story for me. Alcohol, I can handle it. And it didn't kick my butt unless I mixed, several different kinds of alcohol and got over the top drunk. But for the most part, I could handle it. Well, with MS, there's a limit.
Yes.
So I can have one drink and start feeling dizzy. And that's when I need to know I stop. I can have 5 drinks before I start feeling dizzy.
Yeah.
But it's that when you start feeling dizzy, that's when MS is telling you, when you stand up, you won't be able to feel your legs. And Friday, actually, if you saw me, I was walking with a cane.
I did see that for like a very, very, very briefly.
And that's a huge, I have to be really, really bad before I'm taking that puppy out.
Yep.
And I had a really bad day. And trying to do everything that I was supposed to do, help Kat out, and I wanted a couple of people I wanted to see and so on. I made it through, but I did not make it to the speeches at night. And I felt bad about that, because I should have been supporting Kat at that point in time, because that's what a liaison does.
Yeah, but
I had to go home. I had to take care of myself, and that bloody cane stayed in the car for the rest of the weekend.
No, it's an interesting combination there. I just felt there. A little pride, a little determination, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But yeah, I think we did talk about a little thoughts here. You're at your strongest when you're at your most vulnerable. And the reason I know this is because when adversity, you talk about how you're stronger, and you're braver, the thing about all of us, most of us do not know what we're made of until we face adversity. There's this a friend of mine, she's a Russian model, one of the toughest women I've ever talked to. She's very, very tough, very strong, very confident of herself. It's part of her beauty. It's one of the things about her that's really beautiful. And she goes to me, and I go to her, you know how to fight. She goes, I've never been in a fit. It's like, not that kind of fight. You understand adversity. You understand how to face adversity down. You are willing to do this. For you, I feel like you're not used to looking vulnerable in a large setting, right?
What it is,
yeah,
and I see it with people in a wheelchair,
yeah,
is the looks that people give you.
Yeah.
It's that sympathy, that, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you look, and I don't like that. So quite a few of my friends, it was funny, Saturday I don't have the cane. And probably about 5 or 6 of them said, "You look like shit yesterday, and you look much better today." So they wouldn't tell me on Friday that I looked like shit. They told me on Saturday when I was looking better. And that's the problem. Even people you don't know, when they see that cane, that wheelchair, whatever it is, it's that look on their face like, "Oh my God, I would never want to be like that." And that's what hurts.
I see. Okay.
So part of it is when you see somebody that's handicapped, look them in the eye. Be honest with them.
No.
Right? Don't have that pity look on your face.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a small counterbalance to you, right? And then we'll leave it at this because I do understand where you're coming from. I don't pity. No.
And most people don't.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just answering this because I actually had an interesting conversation with Susie about the whole concept of people saying thank you, right? This is not something that I learned. The younger me did not know this. This is just recently getting some wisdom as I get older. Sometimes what people are giving you is not pity but empathy, right? Because
Yeah.
what they're saying, because again, no one. I feel pain, other people's pain.
Yeah.
I feel it. So I do wince sometimes, but it's not out of pity. It's because I'm almost vicarious. Not again, nowhere close to what you're feeling, I am sure, but I can vicariously kind of feel, right, that pain, and there is an empathy for it because I don't want anyone to suffer at all. It's not pity, it's empathy, and so I'm. This is.
And I could change the way I think. Think that way.
Well, I'm not saying you're fully like. I think this is one of the things I've become very, very I'm trying to be better at is I'm discerning the difference, right? Because because I can be like, "Are you okay? Is there anything you need?" And
and see, that's what.
Yeah, right.
And it's just a "Hi, how you doing?" instead of "Oh, can I help you?"
Yeah, right.
And that's where the empathy
Yeah.
gets just over the line into you. If I was looking great and didn't have pain and was walking just fine, would you say, "Hey, is there anything I can help you with?"
It's not the cane. 'Cause here's the deal. I hang out with Elaine Lee. You know what I joke with her? And we're gonna go to a metal concert someday, and we're gonna have everyone go up and carry her across the stage. Right? And by the way, I have been in concerts where I've seen people in wheelchairs ride across the stage. So I'm not saying an actual impossibility here. I'm just saying, right? It's not the cane. It's not the cane. It's the fact that when I can look into your eyes, I can visibly see you struggling.
Right.
Right? That's what I look at. Right?
Yeah.
I dealt with.
That's empathy.
That's empathy. Yes.
But you've got to remember, somebody with any kind of disability, they will ask if they need your help.
Yeah.
So you need to let them handle that barrier.
No, I understand, but that's for a lot of people, and this is where I'm coming from on this, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's actually what it is. It's not. I would never pity you. I don't think that, right? All right.
I do know that.
Yeah.
And with friends, it's easier to take that look. But with strangers, you get it, and they don't know you, and they don't know your journey.
Yeah.
But there's that little look. And that's my pride kicks in. I don't want that.
No.
Stick,
I understand, but I just think. I guess what I'm here to give you is to understand what that actually, for the most part, what it is, right? And that way, sometimes, right, it's easier to forgive those that don't know, right?
Yeah.
Right, it's easier to forgive, and that's the only counterpoint I'm going to give you on this. I get where you're coming from, but it's just something I think you need to be aware of. Like, a stranger will have no idea what's going on in your head on that. No. And because of that attempt to be empathetic, right, is honestly probably genuine, right? And that's all I'm saying. I'm going to back up from that point alone. But that's what it is, right? When I see people that are, I've seen this with people that are struggling with various unique conditions.
Right.
They don't want help,
No.
and they don't, because they that independence is incredibly valuable, and that it's not the sickness that's scary. It is.
It is.
But it's the loss of independence that actually is the truly terrifying thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You're right.
It's not a terrible disease.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact me in the worst way that it can, but over time, my independence is going to get less.
Yes, and that's a hard thing to deal with.
And it's a fear. It's
a
genuine fear that as I age, this stupid disease that gives you no warning when it's going to kick you in the butt, is going to make me worse. Mm-hmm.
And that's a legitimately honest. And that's why I understand where you're coming from. This is actually why I do let me rephrase that. I empathize where you're coming from, right?
Much better.
Yes.
Yeah. Any kind of pain, any individual pain, you can't physically put yourself in that person's body. So saying I understand your pain is a little bit diminishing.
No, it's a little bit. No, that's why that's why I caught myself. Right. That's the wrong thing. Empathize is the understanding, because everybody has felt pain. Everybody.
Yes.
All right. So when you see it very visibly on someone's face, the natural inclination is to show compassion. Right.
But there's a very fine line between I know what you're going through and
absolutely
and I have feelings and empathy about what you're going through.
And I totally agree. I'm no dispute. That's why I corrected myself. Right.
Well, and that's good.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know where that line is.
Yeah.
And don't understand why people react the way they react.
Yeah.
And it goes for grief, depression, any physical ailment, anything like that. Unless you've walked a mile in their shoes, you can't say you understand it.
The closest is when I go through. I've been through a similar situation when I can see exactly when I was getting my master's in Arizona, there was a buddy here that was going through a very similar thing. He was a lot angrier about it than I was when I was going through it. And I was pissed, but when you understand that it's a life. Like your life is kicking your ass to go to wherever you're supposed to go. It's a little easier to deal with. Not that much easier to deal with, because it really sucks going through that process.
Yeah.
But
we all have to go through it.
Absolutely. And there is an end to the process at some point. And the sooner you accept that this is the process. It's not easy exactly, but it's
yeah.
You're right.
Well, it's like a story.
Yeah.
So when you write a story, you pick the person that's least likely to get you the ending that you want. And then along the way, you throw shit at them, right? And make it harder and harder and harder to get to that end. That's what life is.
Yes.
We start here and in one place, and to get to the place where we're supposed to end up, shit gets thrown at us along the way. And it's how we deal with whatever life gives us that makes us the human beings we are.
Absolutely.
And I still believe, and I will always believe, that you have to be strong and brave.
Absolutely.
And the minute you say, I can't do this,
you're right.
That's when your life isn't enjoyable. It doesn't hold joy and beauty for you, because there's this big wall in front of you you can't get past.
Well, see, for me, it's funny, because I actually, my motivation for today, did you read my motivation for today?
No.
It's actually it's like laughter is rebellion.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Laughter is rebellion. It says if you can find joy in a situation, no matter what it is, no matter where you are free.
Yep.
You are free. Anger is not the path to rebellion. It's actually joy, and that which is really hard sometimes, depending on your situations in life. If you can find that joy, though, no matter where you are,
Yeah.
right?
There's joy in every day.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a ray of sunshine on a patch of grass, there's joy
during
in
every day. Yeah, exactly. Then the challenge, and if you really want to be a bit of a, and I'm playing a video game right now that deals with the whole concept of rebellion, justice, desire, and like, what's the true way? Anger is always the first step of rebellion, but it's not the last. You have to at some point find your joy.
Yeah.
Or the anger will burn out, and so will you.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things. So just like when we talk about joy, so obviously we talked about what's made you stronger already.
Yes.
What makes you braver?
Makes me brave.
What adversity have you faced where you recently learned a little bit more about bravery?
Well, that was the speaking thing.
Yes.
It's to stand up in front of people and do a good job and connect with them. You have to be brave because you're out there by yourself. Mm-hmm. And you have a message to give, and it takes bravery to get that message across, right? Mm-hmm. And that is very simply that lesson.
Yes.
Because I thought, public speaking is no big deal. I've done it all my working life, and until that point at Owl's Nest, I didn't think it was a problem. So the question is, was it fear? And I don't think it was. Or was it MS that just... And I remember when I stood up right before going to the mic, the walls in the shop were just jiggling a bit. And I said to myself, it's a 5-minute reading, you can do this. So I got up to the mic, started reading, and I knew that it wasn't going well. And I kept saying to myself, only a couple more minutes, you can do this. And of course, whatever force it was said, no, you can't.
Nope, you hit your limit.
Yep.
I tried to talk to you and you wouldn't listen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kick your ass. And what I had to do at that moment, once I was able to, was get up and finish the job.
Yeah.
Because that's what bravery is you face the wall again and you go at it again.
Yeah.
And Sarah Johnson said, she says, I give you a lot of credit for what happened to you, and you got up and you finished that.
Yeah, no, that takes a certain toughness. That takes a ridiculous amount of toughness. Actually,
no, actually, it's stubbornness. I'm not gonna let this thing kick my ass.
But also toughness. Don't. There are people that would have stayed down.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Because for me, if I can't conquer that, how am I ever going to do a public reading or a speech again?
Yeah.
Right? Because that wall's going to be right there. And it is to a certain degree. It's not the easy peasy thing I used to think it was.
Yeah.
You get up there and you're out there and you're in front of people and it's scary. Mm-hmm. And I now have more empathy for people that do have stage fright. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh, it's a terrifying. Again, I'm always a little nervous when I go up there. Even like I did the Dr. Seuss off this weekend.
Yes.
Right, which I'm again to the panel beside us. That was probably a very, very. I already talked to Randy. We're moving that to like a little bit more spacious room.
So you're not.
Well, it's the nature of the panel. I like I said, my gift, it seems, is I give people permission. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So it took about 5 minutes for people to get the idea, and then the moment the first group did their interpretive dance of Cat in the Hat, everybody got it, and everybody did their thing. Naomi Davis spun me around like a top. So the point, right? Because the point was to have fun, and the best thing about When Words Collide is there's so many good people and great information to be had.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I think the big thing that Friday and Saturday both need what I do, and something like what Kevin Weir does with improv. You need a recess panel, for lack of a better term, where people can just come in, blow some steam off now, take a break from getting all this information, let the information settle in. Yeah. Right? You can't have a full con of these things.
No.
But you can have one on Friday that, like, right before we get to like the evening events, to get everybody like that loosen everybody up, and then there's like where I am right before the banquet, right? So everybody can be loosened up in a good headspace, have fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and not be beside anybody because the thing is,
whoever was beside you was thinking, what the hell are they doing?
well, we were really loud. I take responsibility for it, but we were really, really loud. But it's just, again...
Well, when it's a learning experience, Randy will know next time.
Yeah, well, yeah, the first one was... Well, the thing is, last year there was 13 people. This year there was a full house.
Oh.
This year there was a full house. So, my biggest fear when I did this was no one would play. That was in my head. Who wants to play? Everybody put their hands up. It's like, well... This is not the problem I was expecting to have. This year I was ready for that problem.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and a new problem arose. This is a popular, fun panel. I'm doing it at Creative Inc. apparently too next year.
Oh, okay.
They liked it. Some of the Creative Inc. people, it's like, yeah, we're going to make sure this happens next year.
Are you going to CanCon in the fall in Ottawa?
Yes.
Me too.
By the way, good luck.
Oh boy, it's one of those moments where, and I can see Sally Fields getting her second Oscar and going, you like me, you really like me. And that's what I feel about being nominated for an Aurora.
Yeah.
Is, oh my God, somebody likes my writing.
Yeah.
Am I sure they're actually reading the book and actually getting it?
Hello, imposter, my old friend.
Yes.
Right. But,
exactly.
Yeah. So
I'm up against the big leagues. Like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of big names in that section.
It doesn't matter if you win or lose.
No, it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't.
Not at all.
No.
The fact that I'm going there and that I get to be there win or lose, I get pinned on Friday, and I get to be there for that.
So would you like to hear what the Aurora did for me? Like everything in great detail? So the night I got my Aurora pin, I met Spider Robinson.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So the next day, I helped him out with something, and I asked him very nicely, like, hey, listen, I have a podcast. Just before I won. Like, listen, I have a podcast. Would you like to come on? I had just gotten, there was another big writer there, and he had a very bad experience at the con. I can't entirely blame him for it. There were just certain things that should have been there that just weren't, and don't get me wrong, there were some things he could have been better at too, but I understand why it wasn't the greatest experience for him. So Spider, he blew me off. Spider gives me his phone number, his email, all that stuff. So yeah, let's talk. We'll figure it. I'll listen to a couple and we'll do it. So I get this. I mentioned Spider Robinson interview, which led to me getting published in On-Spec with that same Spider Robinson interview.
Okay.
Which led to me getting started on sponsorships, which has led to me getting my first permanent sponsor, and I'm also a finalist this year. I feel like...
And you deserve to be there.
Yeah. And I feel... This is the thing, though. I'm not saying I don't want to win the award again, but I'm very okay if it doesn't happen again, because I feel like I took advantage of the opportunities the award gave me.
Yes.
Right? I feel like I did it, and if somebody who does win it could get as much as I did out of it, I actually would rather they get it this year, because I already...
You already have a chunk of thoughts.
Yeah, I already do. And again, I would love to win another one, but I already got mine, right? So
that's what, I shouldn't be like that, but that's what I'm kind of hoping with the voting is all the guys that I'm up against have that chunk of glass, or a large chunk of them have been nominated, even if but a lot of them didn't have that. And I'm sort of saying, well, is that going to help me or is that going to hurt me? And I don't know. But I'm hoping that people reading those books are open to a new author, just starting out.
Liz Gronkowski tied Fonda Lee last year.
I know. You know how she did it, right? On second and third votes.
Yes.
So she didn't have as many first votes.
I know.
But she had way more second and third votes, and that got her the tie.
Well, no, yeah. Which Fonda didn't mind, right?
No, she didn't.
No, Fonda didn't mind. I interviewed Fonda last year. She actually made the suggestion for the Sous-Off this year how I did it. She actually added the team concept to it.
Oh, okay.
So Fonda, thank you. I gotta mention that. But even though let's say you don't win. Let's just say you don't. Opportunities will present themselves
because of being
you know, I mean,
nominated.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Take advantage of them when they fall into your lap. And like I said earlier, right? Don't be afraid to dive, right? You're right. Don't be afraid for it because you never look. My podcast actually pays me money.
Excellent. Perfect.
Right. It didn't do that a year ago.
No.
Right.
So that's a good difference.
Right. That is a
really good difference.
Yeah. So that's my so.
And for me at my stage of life, money isn't.
No.
But it's a good thing when it makes money. Because you're able to do more of it and put more out there, right?
So here's a weird thing. I actually had so I'm not saying I don't want money, but I've actually.
You're a lot young. You have to make a living.
Well, no. Hear me out here on this.
Okay.
I decided that honestly, the worst thing I could actually do is chase money.
Right.
Right.
If that's the only game that you're in it for.
Well,
it's not gonna work, right?
Well, no. Actually, I had a big thought. Like, what is money? When you get right down to it, it's only one of two things. It's either a tool or it's debt.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
I don't want to chase debt. I'm already poor. And
right.
right.
Which is why money in that sense is good for you.
Yeah. Right. So, but it's a tool. Why worry? Like for me, this is kind of thing. It's not like worry about what I actually want.
Yes.
And let the money be the tool to help you get there.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Instead of chasing the money. Right, because I will find debt. Like, do you know this is what I do? Life has lots of ways to put you in debt. Yeah.
And it's not just money debt. It's if you don't give to the world.
Yeah.
There's a debt there.
Absolutely.
Where instead of an outflow of energy, you're an inflow of energy.
Yeah.
So you're sucking the world dry because you don't understand the basic concepts.
Whereas me, I think that concept. I think I do a really good job of going.
I think you got that concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that one. I think I got nailed down. Now, don't get me wrong. It would be nice to have more money right this minute.
Yeah.
But I'm not really worried about it either way. Like because it and this, like I said, it might be my undoing at the end of my life. But right this minute, I'm more concerned in living the life I want to live. Right. And
as long as you can put food in your belly and you've got somewhere to live, even if it's your car.
Yeah. Oh, eventually, that's my goal is to have a giant mystery machine that goes across the country, and I'm actually telling people stories. Maybe I'll have a unicorn with like an ice cream cone on there and give me away a mile away. Also, seriously, who doesn't pop at an ice cream cone? Right? I mean, honestly, I had this talk with.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Yes, that
ice cream cone doesn't work for me at all.
That's not true. I know lactose intolerant people that will put up with it just for like they can't have as much.
No, that's right.
Right, they can't have as much. But
or you can take a drug so you can't eat. Yeah. Right.
Again, I don't know of a single. If now someone went and told me that I don't like ice cream, right? I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I think you're a liar.
Yes.
Not liking a flavor? Sure.
Yeah.
Right? So
or being vanilla? Sure.
Yeah. But no ice cream at all? No one. Like, again, you ask around. I mean, does that sound preposterous to you?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I come down there, have like a recording equipment because I say this in episode 300. I literally watched a cynical armor die in my room. Like, literally, it died. Because I just disarmed someone in there completely. I said the Canadians in general are some of the most talented people in the world, and their only problem is they don't believe it.
No, their only problem is they don't want to be rude.
No. I actually would go so far. No, they don't believe it. Because, I'll tell you why I say that. Because I can put you in a room with Mercedes Lackey. I can put you in a room with Kate Elliott. I can put you in a room. Fonda, maybe not Fonda so much anymore because she's been there a little bit. But when she started, I know.
Put me in a room with Stephen King, and I'm right in there.
No, you're there. But if you say you are of that caliber, there'd be a moment where you would pause.
You're right.
You would pause at that, and the thing.
I don't have that depth of knowledge, and my writing like the Aurora Award. I still sort of pinch myself. My writing got me nominated for an Aurora Award. So you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly wouldn't go head to head with a big name author, right? But maybe one day I can be there.
Can I offer a thought on that? You should anyway. Even if you do get your ass kicked.
Well,
and I'll tell you why. You will learn.
Always.
Always did, but you will actually learn, because here's the thing. If you see yourself as beneath somebody, right, you will always be beneath somebody. But if you see yourself as trying to be someone's peer, and don't get me wrong, we all have those moments of hero worship. All of us are guilty of this, me included.
But I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
When words collide is a place where those peer-to-peer relationships happen.
Absolutely.
That conference is revolutionary in my mind.
It's one of the it is the best conference I go to every year. Creative Inc. is getting there.
Right.
And I am legitimately curious about CanCon. I know.
am too.
I actually joke, because I know one of the people that run it, Marie Bilodeau.
Okay.
Well, we joke we're gonna start a chocolate chip cookie cup, or no, an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie cup.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, sign me up.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm in. And then it's like, then Mark Watson of all people goes, wait, I object unless raisins are included. So I mean, again, we're all children at heart, right? But I mean
But conferences in general give you an opportunity to mingle with people you respect.
Absolutely.
And like I say, as liaison for Kat Flannery, I was honored.
Yeah.
Not in a fangirl kind of way, just in she's a really great person, and she has so much knowledge. And I was just thankful that I got to sit with her and to learn a little bit about her.
Absolutely. And there are always things to learn, right? I learned an awful lot from Robert J. Sawyer on the weekend when I did my conversation with him. So they're very. I don't generally do a structured interview by any means.
Never do a structured interview.
That's not true. With Rob, I actually do. With people like Rob, Craig DeLuey. It's because here's the thing I figured out about them. They have no problem sharing.
No.
They don't. But they like structure to share. Right? They like the structure to share.
Yes.
Right? So you give them that and they'll share. And they'll go back and forth with you on anything in the context of that structure, no problem. And it's a matter of not everybody's so open to sharing. Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not denigrating either. They are very open to sharing. But again, it has to be on terms they're comfortable sharing.
But you get to that level.
Yeah.
You have to wonder why people are interacting.
No, absolutely. No, right? that totally is it. I'm a weird anomaly, whereas I really don't care how successful somebody is. I am a very weird anomaly that way, right?
And I don't either in that sense. I respect them, and I respect the work that it takes to get there.
Absolutely.
And I would love to gain something from talking to them as far as a knowledge base, but they're human beings underneath.
Hey, listen. They all have the same wants and desires that we do, and also, I mean, because everybody wants a piece of them.
Right.
And that's the other thing too. Everybody wants a piece of them. They have
to develop a boundary.
And that's where the ego comes in. That's where the ego actually comes in, because ego in that sense is actually very healthy. It gives you the space you need sometimes to breathe, right? Yeah. Right? And that I think is a healthy thing for every creator. Where ego becomes very unhealthy is when I say I'm better than you.
Yes.
That's when an ego is very unhealthy.
And from everyone I've met, even Robert J. Sawyer, they don't do that. There is that line.
Yeah.
But when words collide, they're so happy to sit down and share.
No, absolutely. Right? No. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Like, you talk to someone like Jonas Saul, you talk to someone like Rob. Yeah, they do have a certain reservedness to them, but that's why they're again that natural inclination to think. And then I like I know, like in Jonas's case, he's a really sweet guy. Like he's an incredibly sweet man. And yeah, Joan, you're a softie. Deal with it. But I mean,
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, he has to put on, like he has to be this way because the other thing too that we're not talking about, we are in a ruthless industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are in a ruthless industry, and these are people that have gotten to the top of it in their own ways. And you know what? It takes a certain ruthlessness to get there.
It does.
Right? And
you have to really want it, and you have to go through all the steps to get it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not a cakewalk.
It's not a cakewalk, and you have to swallow a lot of crap.
Yep.
And but to get whatever it is, you got to get to the other side of. And like I said, so you have to, like, again, that's where the ego is incredibly healthy because you need to have that I'm good, I'm valuable, I'm worth what I'm getting and more, and that and more thing is what drives you to seek for better things. That's a great thing when you get to, but when you, again, it's that line, I'm worth more versus I am better than you. Right. When you get to when there are some creators I have met in the past, not in words, but at other like comic conventions and stuff like that, their ego is very like it might have been warranted at one time. It ain't warranted now, and they still. But again, that's the other thing too. Once you develop that habit, you're stuck with it. And when your time being on top winds down, guess what? That doesn't go away, and that will ensure you never get work again.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of where you are in this passage.
Yes.
What you're doing.
Yeah.
Like I say, to me, although when words collide is energy taxing, when I get to the end of it, I feel like, man, I've learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
I did the master class with James Allen Gardner yesterday.
Nice.
And what an amazing man.
Yeah, he's fun. I'm gonna be emailing him, and like I'm giving everybody a few days because let's like. As we agreed to this beforehand, right? So, but I mean, I also know like for the majority of us that have done the conference, we need a few days to go thunk.
Yeah, exactly.
I needed that last night. Last night I was supposed to put my podcast up. I couldn't. I was just like I'm just done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Tonight it's going up as with apologies to Adria because it's just like I just did not, Captain. The lithium crystals are done. I need to have a little sleep. I woke up today, like I feel a lot better today.
And that was me on Friday. When I was done thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to make it through this conference. Slept for 9 hours and then was able to face the world again.
Yeah, you're like, yay.
Yeah.
Because I also worked yesterday too. My conference didn't actually end until 2:00 in the afternoon. Pony Phillip, I interviewed him yesterday, and then I ended up going to my day job, worked my day job, went home. Worked very slowly on some things, and then eventually said, I'm going to.
Yeah.
I somewhere in there I just passed out.
Yeah. And it's all about the energy give and take at the conference.
Yes.
You give out so much, you get so much, that it takes a while to process what you got.
Oh yeah, and there's also just you're feeding off the energy of everybody around you to some degree. Now you no longer have that energy.
There's that empty space where oh my God, I can't do this. Yeah. And I think that's the sign of a really good conference, that it's filled you up and given you so much that you actually need to shut down and process what's been given to you.
Absolutely.
And So I think most people feel that way when you talk to them.
So I'm just gonna ask this: when's your next book actually planning on coming out? I mean, it could be just a plan right now. We could, I know God laughs sometimes, but it could be.
It's a very loose plan at this point in time. I passionately wanted it out to go to CanCon because they're offering to promote my novels and whatnot. It isn't physically possible for Evil Alter Ego to do that.
I did not see Mike this weekend.
No, I didn't see Mike this weekend, and Jeff, his editor, is struggling, and it makes it hard for him to edit, I think. So I honestly don't know.
Fair enough.
And I'm getting to be okay with that. First, I was really, really frustrated because I had this plan. and it had to go this, and this way. Well, you know what happens when you have a plan.
God laughs at you.
Yeah, God laughed at me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a much better book than Finding Atlantis. I believe that it has a stronger message, and I hope that I've learned enough about promoting to actually do a good job of promoting this one and getting the sales on it.
It will be easier because you already have a book out there.
Right.
The real secret to this industry, and I've learned this from just, again, my own podcast, but also just watching other industries with very similar thing. Your backlists are what make money when you're
Exactly.
for an author. So
until I've got 6 books out there.
Yeah.
And
even every book it goes up a little bit,
right.
A little bit more, right? Yep. So what will eventually happen is the backlist will, because every book feeds into the books that came before it.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes, I need to find more work.
Somebody reads this book and go, oh, I really like this author. Where's the other books that she wrote?
And that's what happens, right?
And what happens. So then I was in Tracy Cooper Posey's lectures and talks, and 100 books. Oh my God, she has a book out every 3 weeks.
I know. No. Actually, hilariously, she was my biggest surprise at the conference. You want to hear this is how we started, and we ended up in a good place. This is where we started. She asked to come on. I have a crazy schedule now, so I didn't have a chance to look her up. I don't worry about that anymore. Sometimes to my detriment, but because again, this is my interview style. But she walks in and is like, "Hi, so what's going to happen?" It's like, "Oh, we're just going to talk." It's like, "So have you read any of my books?" I said, "Nope." "Have you still listened to my podcast?" "Nope." "Don't worry, we'll figure something out." And we had a really good conversation, and then I had Kat afterwards, and I had Julie Heiner afterwards, right? And so. But it was one of those situations where it just was like, we had a very blank slate. I think in her case, she probably was a little worried about me when you walked into the door.
Especially if she had to listen to anything you've done.
Yeah. And then, but at the end, she was like, you didn't ask me any questions anybody else has ever asked me. It was actually a fun little engaging little chat. Had fun. And got to know her throughout the weekend. She's very incredible, very, very gifted. Yeah. I had a lot of fun actually meeting her and getting to know her. I actually bought one of her books. She's one of 2 people I actually bought books from this weekend. So it was just like very nice surprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know I'm in the middle of a book that I'm really passionate about that I can't seem to write. And some of the stuff that I learned this weekend is I'm trying to write the perfect book in the first draft.
Yeah.
Right? I know my writing has grown, but I can't get the ideas down on paper and let the ideas flow before I go back and try and fix what I've written. So I've learned, and Tracy Cooper Posey had a good point. Figure out how many hours in a week you can devote to your writing career. Take half of that. That's when you sit down in front of the computer and you write. The other half of that is marketing, editing, all the other returning emails, all the other stuff you do as an author. So 50% is doing the business and 50% is sitting with your ass in the chair and doing the job.
Absolutely.
And it gave me a whole new way to look at, because I get to the end of the day, I haven't written more than 500 words. I've done all this other stuff, and it feels like I haven't accomplished anything.
Which is the opposite. It's almost always the opposite.
Right. But the business of being an author is getting in the way of the job of being an author.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting way to look at things that I never thought of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's the conference. It gives you these bits and pieces of information that make you more productive, that make you smarter at your job, and all that stuff.
Like I said, I get to talk to everybody. That's my advantage. Right. That's my advantage. So I've learned. So what I've done is the really super successful people. I've looked at all of them and figured out what they all have in common. Right. One of the biggest advantages they all have, they are all masters at time management.
Yes.
They're all masters of it.
Yes.
They've mastered it. They're not good, they're great.
Yeah.
Right? They don't let they have a schedule. They do not let anything disrupt what they're doing because what they're doing is worth too much.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And that,
You know, if you're writing the story for yourself, that's great. But if you're writing it for another purpose, you really have to sit down and write the damn story.
absolutely.
And like say the 100 books thing, I thought, oh, I could never do that, but I can do more than I'm doing.
Well, I told her you started a long way out. She goes, the person I know that has written stuff in the most books is Isaac Asimov.
Oh yeah.
454.
Yeah.
She's a quarter of the way there. right. But again, if you minus all the anthologies where he wrote intros and some edit notes too, and if you like some of the smaller things he's done, it's closer to about 220.
Yeah.
She might get there.
Yeah, she might.
She might.
Yeah.
So, barring, she might slow, again, as she gets older, she might slow down a little bit. But again, she's in the flow, but while she's in the flow, you make the hay, and you never know. So that's the way it goes. And you'll find, as time goes on, I'm not going to say it gets easier exactly, but the flow gets easier to find.
Yes. Yeah, the sitting down, the going from idea to an actual manuscript. I think every time is a different process, but as you get more experience with the process, it's easier to go through it.
Well, yeah, it's finding the flow, finding that zen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I've got lots of ideas. That's not an issue.
Sure.
But where are we at?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. So taking a look. But
I've got lots of ideas. That's no issue. It's actually getting the ideas on paper, and that's what I learned this weekend.
So do you? I know I think we're gonna close the interview portion of this. I'll go with my very first kindergarten lesson.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so in kindergarten, my very first assignment was you take a marble, you dip it in paint, you put it in a box. You roll the marble in the box. However it went, and when you were done, you had a picture.
Right.
It's actually one of the most valuable lessons of art ever, and I didn't realize it until I was much older. You know what the lesson is?
Nope.
Never be afraid to make a mess.
True.
Never be afraid to make a mess.
Yep.
Because
and that's what a first draft is. It's an unholy mess.
So give yourself permission to make it.
Yeah.
Because also here's the other thing too. There are two piles you will get, right? One pile is very brown, and you know what that is.
Yes.
But the other pile, just remember, one of the greatest accidents ever to happen on the planet was somebody accidentally put chocolate chips in the cookie dough.
Right.
Right. Always remember this, right?
Yeah.
There are chocolate chip cookies inside these messes.
Yes.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So let yourself find your chocolate chip cookies and discard the other brown stuff afterwards.
Yep.
And somewhere along the way, just the other thing too, I also realized, somewhere along the way, you're actually having fun. And when you're having fun, it's a lot easier.
I'm always having fun.
Exactly. Causing chaos and mayhem?
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, life isn't any fun unless you're causing chaos and mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would have loved to have been a part of the fort, but I didn't have the energy.
No, it's okay. The fort was fun. I got caught towards the end of it. But I was on a mission to finding everybody I could and say thank you to them. I didn't get everybody, but I tried. Right. Like I said, the gratitude was good. And that was my goal. My goal on that weekend was to make an impact.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Hopefully I did too in my little way.
Not so little. But anyways, I really want to say good luck to the Aurora. So I hope you win. But even if not, legitimately, it's not to be nominated.
It's a win anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, plug your current work, how people can find you.
Yes.
And then we'll wrap the interview up.
Okay. You can find me on all the usual sources. First book is Finding Atlantis, and it was out last year in August. And the second book, Return to Atlantis, I'm putting it out into the universe. It'll be out sometime this fall.
All right. So, okay, hold on a second here.
This podcast for the month is sponsored by Third Space. It is a comedy world-building podcast in which your hosts, Kevin Weir and Jeremy Berkeley, create worlds based on tropes and concepts from movies, television, video games, books, and more. What does that mean exactly? It means you can expect worlds where humans level up, mascots are real, animals grant riches, and Skeletor wants you to rise up against the bourgeois. Why? Just cuz. It's also home to the Third Space World Generator, where using the power of the RNGesus from the internet, Kevin and Jeremy create brand new worlds from scratch. Third Space can be found on thirdspacepodcast.com or on the podcast app of your choice. And that was my conversation with J.M. Dover. Once again, J.M., congratulations on being nominated. I look forward to talking to you next year when your next book is out. It's really, really cool to see you doing this well. Congratulations once again. If you notice, this podcast is going into an hour, 10 minutes. I'm going to suggest you guys check out my podcast with Karen Hamilton on Tuesday. I'm updating it to have the whole conversation there. I think the podcasts are just in general going to be a little bit more range. Instead of 30 minutes to an hour, they're going to be 30 minutes to an hour, 15 minutes, which I think is fine. I'm going to add an extra 15 minutes to the show when needed. The shows are getting longer. There's a lot more to them than there used to be, and that's a great thing. In fact, this is also the last episode where I'm doing this podcast with this microphone. I have a new microphone courtesy of my sponsor, Indie Imprint. I've been playing with it. I'm not quite ready for it. My first interview with it is literally this Sunday. I'm really excited to actually play with it, and yeah, like I said, it's been a great bit of transition here in the last little bit of just everything happening. I'm really excited about the t-shirt. I'm really excited about the book. I'm really excited about just everything coming down the pike. I couldn't be happier. But the podcast is going to be going a little bit longer. It's going to go to around the hour 15-minute mark from here on, and I think that's where this podcast is just headed, and I'm happy with that. That will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. The Third Space Podcast by Kevin Weir and Jeremy Berkeley. Check them out. Check out Claudio Morgan. Check out his books, The Decadence of Our Soul and Entanglement. I'm giving away Decadence of Our Souls right now on my mailing list. Feel free to add it. I'm going to be doing some updates on the mailing list, which I'll be announcing Tuesday. Feel free to do that. Subscribe to the podcast. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I got them all, Podomatic, and check me out there. My merchandise is at jpenteloresco.redbubble.com. My blog is jpenteloresco.wordpress.com. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. My Twitter and Instagram is at jpenteloresco. Come say hi. Just check out anything that tickles your fancy. And thanks for listening, guys. I will be back next week. Stay inspired. Keep being you.
Josh.